Hey guys, it's your host Elex, and I just want to say thank you for tuning in to another episode of Mental Mixology. Ladies. I am so excited to do an episode finally on women's mental health. Now, unfortunately, the reason why this episode is coming to us now, I've wanted to do it for a while, but I had a not so fun experience being a woman a few weeks ago. And I love being a woman. That's the hard thing is there is truly so many amazing things about womanhood, about what we get to experience, what we get to do in this lifetime. With that comes quite a bit of a downside. We don't talk about women's mental health enough in this day and age. We don't talk about mental health enough, period. But men and women, we all deal with different challenges. But today we are dedicated to talking about the women. We are going to talk about the science of being a woman, why we have the highs and the lows, genuinely the science behind the highs and the lows. We are going to talk about situations that I think we could probably all relate to on the highs and lows of being a woman. But most importantly, we are going to give you tools and resources on how to be able to really focus on your mental health being a woman. Because society asks a lot from us these days, truly. And the most important thing for you is to live a life that makes you happy. Live the life of your dreams. That should be what you are striving for. And it doesn't matter if it aligns with what this world wants you to do. Your happiness, your well being, your health. That is what's important here. So, without further ado, we're going to talk about this very unsettling story that happened to me and why, as I love being a woman, after this situation, I seriously said to myself, would genuinely be easier to be a man some days. Well, into my story now. One of the best things about being a woman is retail therapy. It is dangerous. I have to be careful with that. But even if I'm just browsing in a store, I'll just walk around looking at things. I love it. It brings me peace of mind. It's fun for me. And so I had a whole day planned out. It was a Saturday. A whole day planned out going shopping. I was going to bounce around to some stores, do some grocery shopping, get some stuff for my new place, and make a day of it. Literally, that is self care for me. And so I was at this. It's amazing. It's a TJ Maxx and a Home Goods combined. So, girl, I could spend hours in there. But I went in there because I told myself we are going to let Home Goods and TJ Maxx tell us what we need. But I did know the few things I did actually need and needed to get when I was there. So there really wasn't a method to my shopping, especially since nobody's with me. I'm going to do whatever I want. So I pop to the bathroom aisle. I'm in home decor. I'm in the garden greenery, whatever, the flowers, that stuff area. I go to the kitchen side. I go back to the bathroom area because I forgot to get something. But as I am shopping around, because I'm very aware of my surroundings, just because you have to be as a woman, I see this guy passing by me a couple times, just keeps kind of walking back and forth. He had done it about 3 or 4 times. I didn't really think anything of it. Well, as I continue to shop and I'm going to these random corners and aisles of the store, he's still passing by me. And what dawned me as weird is the fact that he didn't have a shopping cart, he wasn't picking anything up, and he was on his phone like the whole time. And so at first I'm telling myself, Alex, you're overreacting. This is not a big deal. And I hate the fact as a woman in a situation like that that dawns on us because I don't want to be the crazy lady who's making a scene, and that was in the back of my head. But I also don't want to be the woman that's showing up on the news as being kidnapped. So that was the thoughts in this moment. And it got to the point where as I continued to shop, I distinctly even remember what I was doing when just kind of the switch flipped. But he had gone and walked by me about the seventh or eighth time, and I was looking at candles, and I remember sniffing a candle. I saw him walk by, and he looked at me every time. Saw him, put the candle down and I'm like, what are we going to do now? Because I was like, this is not just a coincidence. I do not feel good about this. Something is wrong. Something is not right. Like I said, I just felt so uncomfortable. And I probably looked like I was on drugs or something because at that point, every aisle I'm going down, I'm just constantly doing the like back and forth to see if he's walking by me again. It killed the whole shopping trip. Genuinely, the whole list and telling Home Goods what I needed. Yeah, I wasn't listening because I was thrown off. And finally, I was like, I'm leaving. This is not fun anymore. I am so distracted by this. I don't even know what I need at this point. And so I am going to walk out and I'm like, I have got to say something. That was the only thing I could think to do because I was by myself. Nobody I know lives close to me or could come like and there was no need for that either. Like I needed an immediate action to do. So, grand tip, every woman, if you do not take something away from this episode, but this right here, if you ever feel uncomfortable because of a man and you are out in public, you make them feel you make them feel uncomfortable. If someone makes you uncomfortable, you have every right to make them feel just as uncomfortable as they are making you feel. And I was literally to my peak because I am not a confrontational person. And for me to be so upset that I felt the need to say something is enough for me. So I'm walking down the main aisle and he walks by me again. Let's keep in mind the fact that I've been in this store for 45 minutes probably. Man still has not picked up a damn thing. So I walk by him and I say, can I help you? You're making me really uncomfortable right now. You haven't picked anything up. You keep passing by me. And he's like, oh, I'm texting my wife. I'm trying to find some things for my kids for spring break. For a millisecond, I felt bad. I'm like, shit, did I just call out this random guy who's literally just shopping? If I was, he was making me feel very uncomfortable by his shopping experience, so he deserves to get yelled at because, sir, even if that is the case, why are you constantly passing me and looking at me? But then on the other side of it, if that's true, why are you in the bathroom decor, the home decor? Like, sir, this is not checking out. And then happenstance, as soon as I confront him and we have this little back and forth, he leaves. And I go to check out and I'm like, should I tell somebody? Like have a worker watch me walk out? And I should have. I didn't because I was like, I don't want to make a big deal or a scene out of this. But I did because I had multiple bags. I had her put all of my multiple bags in one big bag. And then I had a little end table that I bought. It's like a gold end table with a glass top to it. I had that in one hand. And when I say I was alert, I was ready. I walked out of that parking lot. And also, too, there were two doors you could go in or out of. So I had gone in the opposite one. I don't know. I still should have had somebody walk me to my car or watch me, but I was alert. I was ready. I was just kind of on it. I was fine after that, but it dampened the whole shopping trip because I could not focus. I was constantly worried about, like, well, what if he pops up in Walmart and he just starts doing it again? So from that point, he kerplunked my whole shopping day that I was so pumped about. And that is what sucks. That was the moment I was like, it would be so much easier to be a man right now. And I hate even thinking that. I hate feeling that. I hate as women that that's something that we deal with. A lot of us have to deal with that just fear of our safety, but we can't let that stop us. And that was something I had to tell myself because I'm not dating anybody. I'm not married. I don't have kids. I live by my family and my parents, but I'm not with them 24/7. I can't be a hermit just because this happened to me. I have to let people know about it, give them advice on how to deal with it if they encounter it, and just put it in the memory bank. Be alert everywhere you go. Keep acting the way you do. Keep responding the way you do. Make sure you tell people that are working so they can help you is the thing I learned, but you can't let it make you afraid because as women, there are so many things that can make us afraid. For instance, having children. I don't have children yet. So many women have had children. Elex, you'll be okay. But that's one thing that worries me. I thought that to myself a week ago. I'm making coffee and I'm like, oh my gosh. Like being pregnant, that seems fun. Having the kid, like when it's born and like already out of you seems fun. But the process in between, all my friends tell me their pregnancy stories. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's really what happens. Like a 13-year-old boy going through like the class of learning how the woman or the female body works. I'm just mind blown at it. That can't deter me from having a baby. And It's so easy to shy away from these things, but we are so strong as women, so strong. And we're strong together as a community, as one. Because another thing that you have to remember is a lot of us go through a lot of similar situations. The details, the context, that can change, but the foundation of a lot of the things we go through are very similar. And I think it's so empowering knowing that you are not alone in the things that you are going through and the things you're thinking to yourself. Like when I'm in the store thinking to myself, Alex, you're crazy. You're overreacting. You know what? No, you're not. That man is being creepy, and you have every reason and right to confront him and be like, can I help you, sir? You're being a little weird. So let's come together. Let's understand that being a woman is not a perfect thing. Nothing will ever be a perfect thing, but it is amazing to be a woman. It is fun to be a woman. And you are going to understand how you operate a little bit more with this episode so you can give yourself some grace when your lows feel really low and you don't understand why, or why you don't realize that some days you're really high and some days you're really low and you're like, why can't I just be really high every day? Okay, not that high, but I mean like positive, high motivation, boys skipping down the aisles of the grocery store as you're picking out food for your family. We all wish we could be like that. But you know what? It's not realistic. Give yourself some grace. And here's the science about why. So, to dive into our chemistry of chaos as women, we are going to look at estrogen. Estrogen is the hot topic of today, okay? So, science shows that when our estrogen is high, our dopamine is high. When our estrogen drops, that bright light that a lot of us feel that comes from the dopamine, it starts to dim. And like I said, we're very unrealistic on ourselves. When this dims and we start to not feel that spark anymore, a lot of us feel like failures. We feel like we're not doing as much as we should. We hold ourselves to such an unrealistic expectation. I'm going to tell you right now, there's 365 days of the year. You are not going to be your best every single day. You're not even going to be your best 90% of those days, maybe even 75% of those days. What you have to realize is that is normal. Every woman is going through this just at a different capacity, okay? So, to dive into estrogen and how this kind of controls our dopamine. So, we're going to look at our brain. Our brain's a party, okay? And the dopamine, which it's the feel good chemical. Dopamine is literally what makes you happy. It's what makes you feel motivated. On your good days, dopamine levels are high. And like I said, your estrogen is what controls that. So your brain is a party. Unch, 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 unch. Dopamine is the music. Whatever music you listen to, that's what the dopamine is, just bumping in your mind. So when the music at the party is the right level, you feel motivated, you're focused, you're happy, like we're vibing. We like the high music. Our 21 Savage song, Sabrina Carpenter, it's blasting, okay? But when the estrogen turns the volume down, we're like, this is kind of weird. We don't really want to dance because nobody can really hear the music and it's not the same vibes. So, estrogen is controlling that. That's basically the foundation of how it works, okay? So we've been rolling on dopamine, the DJ's been good, the party in your brain has been bumping. Well, once the party's over, there are enzymes that basically clean up the dopamine, push it out, flush it out. But the estrogen comes into play because it tells that cleaning crew before they start, they're like, hey, we're going to bump up this music level a little bit. We're going to have an encore, per se. So you can take a long lunch break and then come back when we're done. So estrogen tries to hold on to that dopamine as long as it can. So the bottom line to take away from this is when your estrogen is high, like during certain parts of our menstrual cycle, your brain is better at making dopamine, it's better at keeping it, and it's better at feeling it. But when your estrogen drops, the volume on your mood and your focus normally drops along with it. What are we typically dealing with when we're starting to see lower estrogen levels? Well, this is our scheduled withdrawal, okay? We have a scheduled chemical withdrawal that normally kind of happens a week or so before our period. And with this, our estrogen levels plummet. So when that drop happens, the support system for your dopamine disappears. And this results in tasks that felt like they were easy last week. Now it feels like climbing Mount Everest. That laundry pile that you just knocked out right when you got it out of the dryer and you put it all away last week, well, this week it feels impossible. It's normal, and it has to do with your estrogen levels. Another thing that happens is things that bring you joy might not make you as excited, or you're reaching for coffee more because you are trying to reach that dopamine level that your body is not naturally producing at this point. And it really does tie into our cycles. Now, this is the crazy thing, okay? We're always talking about that amygdala every episode. I'll tell you what, amygdala. It's a tricky one, guys. So, your brain actually does change its physical structure throughout the month. Research using MRI imaging has shown that fluctuations in estrogen can lead to structural changes in your hippocampus, which is the memory and emotion part of your brain, and your prefrontal cortex. You're not losing your edge. Your brain is shifting its processing style. When your estrogen is low, the brain relies more on your amygdala, your fear center. We've talked about how we need to start sneaking past the amygdala and getting more to the prefrontal cortex. Because when your estrogen is low, the logic center of your brain is not what you fall to. It's the emotional one. It's the one that senses threats. It's always scared. It's trying to protect you all the time. So know this with your period, with the fluctuation of your estrogen levels, and a lot of us can even struggle with just natural estrogen levels. That can control your mood. That can control your daily motivation. So you're not crazy. When you feel like you are the best woman, the best mom, the best employee, the best friend in the world one week, and then the next week you're trying to do the same things and you're like, I suck. I don't like this. It's normal to have the back and forth. It's normal to have your good days and have your bad days, but you have to realize that you're not perfect. And the science, the chemistry is telling us it's normal. You're not supposed to have a party in your head 24/7. Your dopamine levels are not supposed to be through the roof all day, every day. And if it is, please, 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 please do some self reflection on that because it can truly make you so sensitive and it can truly just make your lows that much lower if you don't have a steady fluctuation and back and forth of high and low estrogen. But like I just said, the time of the month, which that's kind of crazy to me. I wonder how my estrogen levels are because I take birth control to a point that I don't get a period anymore. So I wonder if I deal with that too. I might need to get an expert on here to dive into that a little bit more. Okay, so now that we know the science, let's just get down to the nitty gritty of some of the highs and lows that a lot of us deal with, okay? So we're going to talk about the self sacrifice myth as being a woman. We've been conditioned to spread ourselves extremely thin because we all probably feel like we could be doing more in every aspect of our lives. Women battle perfectionism so much, especially because not only are we judgmental of ourselves and of other people and what they're doing and how they're doing. It's like you compare yourself to other moms, you compare yourself to other women your age, whether it's where you're at in life. Do you have a family? Are you married? Do you have a good job? Are you staying in shape? Are you fit? Are you a good cook? Do you know how to garden? Are you artistic? Can you manage a calendar and your finances? I mean, the list goes on. Truly, we expect to have everything in this perfect balance. And if we don't, we're failures. Honey, 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 honey. Let's count the wins here. We forget to do that. Because in mental health, we talk a lot about gratitude. We talk a lot about when you're down on yourself, count your blessings, talk about the things going right. Well, as women, we need to do this. We have incredible rap sheets. If you sit down, write out all the things you do on a day to day, the things you accomplish, the little wins. I mean, heck, cleaning my house, unloading my dishwasher, getting my ring scheduled and fixed. I celebrate every little win I have because I know that not everything I do is going to be perfect. I tell myself that. But if I see myself accomplishing things every day, whether, like I said, it's just me doing the laundry, like washing it, drying it, and folding it in the same day, I'm a bad bitch and I know it. It's as little as that. But those have been really helpful for me because it is very easy for me to feel like I could do more when I already am doing so much. And I know you ladies listening to this feel the same way. You're Superman. And somehow, some reason, you feel like you're still just some pedestrian going, woo, Superman. Like, no, you are Superman. Even if your wins aren't you becoming president, you winning the lottery, those are ridiculously big wins. Be realistic. You'll realize that you have so much going on. You have so much going for you when you start to celebrate the little wins for yourself. Because if you start seeing all the little things you're doing, that's where I think you can help yourself when your cup is overflowing and you have spread yourself so freaking thin. One more person asks you to do something, and I'm going to use this as an example. I read at church, and when you are scheduled for a weekend that you're going to be busy, it's your responsibility to find somebody to be able to read for you. So I will say sometimes it can be kind of hard to have somebody or find somebody to read for you. So I always tell myself I always want to fill in for people when they ask me because God forbid I come into a situation where I need that same support. Like I want to have a symbiotic relationship with helping people. And a guy reached out to me to read for him, I think in like 2 weeks. And when I say the day he wanted me to fill in for him is the only day I have no plans, I can actually sleep in within like a 4 or 5 week span, like literally my only day to just like reset, not have to put makeup on, talk to people, present. Like, so I went back and forth because I'm like, I have so much going on. I don't want to butcher him being able to take a reading date for me if I fall into a bind. But I'm like, I have so much going on. Like, I know I'll say yes to this now, but when that day comes, I'm going to be like, why did we do this? And I feel so bad. I feel so guilty. But what I realized at the end of the day yesterday, when I went back and forth on if I should take this or not, I'm going through my to do list and what I did in a day. And I go and I look at my calendar. I'm like, girl, we got a lot going on. Like, cut yourself some slack. I know you feel guilty for this, but it's not like you're just sitting at home eating bonbons and you're like, I don't want to do it. That's not the case. That's where you have to step back and say, hey, I'm still a good person. I'm still achieving at a high level, but I have to take a day for myself because I'm not going to continue to be able to do these things that I have on my schedule. I'm not going to be able to keep my house clean and do these little wins if I'm gassed out. And that's how your mental health suffers, is because then you say yes, you're dealing with burnout, and then the day-to-day tasks that you need to do, that you should be able to do, that make your life easier to do, you don't have it in you because you said yes way too many times. You overcommitted yourself. You spread yourself way too thin. And that's why I say if you combat that with looking at your little wins, because I look at my wins by every day, I'll have kind of a to do list or what I want to accomplish. That's how I know what my wins are for the day, because accomplishing all of that, they may have been really minute tasks, but that's a win. And to be honest, that kept my day busy doing that, seeing that you can be realistic with yourself. And that is how you can control yourself from spreading yourself too thin. Because I am so guilty too of, I assume I don't have a busy day, add something else to it, and then my day is just freaking madness, which I will say some days it's fun when you have a lot going on, but when it's back to back, that's when my social battery starts to deplete very quickly. So, like I said, start writing things out, start listing things out, start counting your little wins, start being realistic with what you have going on in a day. Be realistic when you need a day off. Schedule a day off. I'm telling you, you have to write it in. It's like self care. As the owner of Mental Mixology, I will be honest when I say I could do self care things for myself like this more often, because I went to Healing House, and for the first time in forever, the Disney in me, for the first time in forever, my mind was quiet, silent. My mind is always going 1,000 miles a minute, and I went to Healing House. And if you go to our website, mentalmixology.org, to our mental health resource tab, Healing House, the resource is there. But it's the chakra, it's energy, it's pressure points. I laid there and she did all this to me, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, why haven't I done this before? Why am I not making this more of a priority? And my schedule's so booked. I did it after work. I make it seem like it's this like a grueling task, but it's like, girl, you're pouring into your cup. You need that. You need this balance. You need this reset. All of the women listening, schedule something that you can relax, something that you can enjoy. If you are not giving yourself the self care that you need, put it into your schedule, work it into your to do list. That is how you can truly manage spreading yourself thin. You can be able to control it more. Having the organization, having a calendar, being able to look at everything and be like, okay, I just got asked to bake a birthday cake and I have 3 podcast episodes to record. I have 3,000 meetings. Is this a good idea? We will feel guilty for saying no. I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to feel guilty. There's going to be so many situations where you, for your mental sanity, need to say no. It's going to be hard. You're going to feel like you're disappointing somebody. But you know what? You're never, ever, ever, ever going to be able to show up for them in the way that you want to if you keep spreading yourself thin. Because honestly, what goes to say that the birthday cake I was asked to bake, I am so gassed that it doesn't turn out the way I wanted to. It's not the perfect birthday cake that this person deserves. And you know what? That's on me because I committed to doing something that I knew that I was going to be too worn out to do. It's so much easier said than done. Prioritize yourself, prioritize your time off, okay? But then, another thing too is it's hard to be able to have that balance because we're in a world of comparison. People have been comparing themselves to other people since the dawn of time. And as women, I think it is very easy and we're very susceptible to this because there's so much to compare when it comes to women, from our bodies to the way we act, to the way we are mothers, to our careers, to what you feed your children. If you're feeding your kids processed food or whole foods, there is so much back and forth of being in your head, of self doubt, of am I good enough? But, Sharkeisha is a mother of 5. She looks amazing. Her hair's always done. Her nails are always done. I don't know how she does it. Well, you know what? She might have a nanny and she might have in home nail tech and a hairstyle. You don't know this. So stop comparing. And that is my advice is you don't know the whole story to anything. You don't know what's behind the scenes. You don't know what they're dealing with. Everybody's dealing with something. That's the truth of the matter. Everybody's dealing with something. Everybody's having an uphill battle with something. Life is not perfect. But when you start to compare yourself, you have to realize you don't know the whole story. That's the big thing. But then you have to tell yourself, what I'm doing is enough. And I will say that you should not let comparison get you down. And you shouldn't let comparison dictate what you're doing with your life. But I think not comparing yourself, but being inspired by other women is where you want to shift to. Because as a woman who has gone through pageants, dance competitions, I did speech tournaments, I've put myself in situations where I am leaving myself up for the subjection of opinion. And with that, there's only so much you can control at this point in my life. And I love that this is how my mind works because I'm a single woman and I'm never going to settle for a man. But if you don't like Alexandria Nicole Simon, as I am, okay, next. I am so confident in the person I am. I know that I'm not perfect at everything I do. But you know what? At the end of the day, there's nobody on this earth that looks, acts, and goes about their life the way I do. And that is where you have to realize too, you can't compare yourselves to anybody because you're incomparable. Nobody has been through the things that you've been through. Nobody has gone through the life that you have gone through. So with that being said, how can you compare apples to oranges? Because that's what we're trying to do a lot of the time. Like I said, you don't know the whole story, so how can you even compare? But our mind goes there so quickly. We need to start thinking with things in the prefrontal cortex instead of the amygdala. We need to bring things to the logic center of our mind. And it's hard. It's so hard, especially too when you're trying to find kind of your group or your tribe, your herd as a woman, because that can be really hard too. It's just like finding friends, befriending people, because I've been in situations where I've outgrown groups of friends, fallen into amazing new ones. But it's not a bad thing, and you can't take that personally, and you can't hold it against other people. Main example, I went to it was basically a group of friends that I hung out with a lot in high school. We kind of fell off as I went to college and we all got older, but I had gotten coffee with one of the girls and she invited me to kind of a bigger shindig she was having with a lot of these other girls that I had grown up with. And as I am at this event, and I did have to talk myself into going just because 'cause I'm shy, I'm introverted. I knew that all these people still kept in touch, and I really didn't keep in touch with any of them. But, all the conversation topics I couldn't really relate to. I couldn't add to any of it. I realized that these women are great. They're nice, they're fun, but it's not my group of women because I can't relate to anything they're saying. I I don't know. I didn't feel like I was at the same wavelength as them, and that's fine. Am I going to continue to hang out with them? No, and that's fine. Life goes on. But as women too, we do think that that's hard because sometimes in situations like that, you think to yourself, well, should I be doing the things they're doing? Should I be living my life the way they are? Am I doing it wrong? You're not. Us comparing ourselves is a survival mechanism. We want to be included. We want to be a part of groups. And if we feel like we're too different or we don't belong or we don't fit in, our mind freaks out because we want to, like I said, protect ourselves. We want to be included and part of a group, a part of a community. It makes us feel good as humans to have that connectivity. We all need it. So when your brain starts to compare, you have to realize that you're just defense mechanism. We're trying to protect ourselves. It's okay. We don't need to protect ourselves. A lot of this takes situational realization. You have to go through these situations, catch your mind going to certain places, and be like, okay, whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's take a step back right here and kind of examine what's going on. And moving through comparison, I do want to talk about body image because, one minute society is telling us that you have to be a size double zero to be beautiful. The next day, they're telling us that you got to have an hourglass figure, you got to have a nice bootay, you know, skinny waist, which that's what I'm aiming for. But it's like, every couple of years, society wants to be like, this is the beauty standard. And I'm not going to speak to this on a man's standpoint because I know that they deal with that to an extent. I'm going to bring this up. This is slightly 18 plus, but this is our audience is over 18. One thing that I heard the other day that blew my mind is, men are so judgmental of women's looks because, they can see how big our butt is. They see how big our boobs are because, obviously, not everything I wear is baggy. And we get judged on it. We get judged on how flat our stomach is. We get judged on, if we have pretty toes or I don't know, I could go down a list of things. Men are not judged for that much. And it's annoying because you'll run into men that are like, "Oh, I like a girl with big boobs and a nice butt." Every guy will want a freaking girl with big boobs and a nice butt. Let's be freaking real, okay? If you're like Elex and you were not blessed with genes that just give you the voluptuous curves, I was a stick for a long time. I've been working out pretty hard to get this little booty of mine, but it's something we all think about as women. I got a boob job because I would sit on my closet floor and cry because the outfits that I had put together in my mind that I thought were going to be so cute, I would put it on. And since I did not have boobs, I looked like a child. I'm like, this doesn't even fit the right way. And if you go to, I believe it's our recent brain versus belly conversation, I think that's where I talked about the fact that, I really got into the gym, held myself accountable, and was like, okay, we can get a boob job if it's that important to us. It made me feel like a woman. Without boobs, I did not feel like a woman. And you know what? Now that we're on the topic of plastic surgery and all that mumbo jumbo, do what you want. Do what makes you happy. I will say my personal stance. So I've gotten a little bit of lip filler, just a little bit, because I thought I had paper thin lips and I just needed a little bit. See, you really can't tell. Like I said, I've gotten my breast augmentation. I got that back in like 2022, I want to say. And I didn't get these just giant knockers. I just didn't have boobs at all. So now it just looks like I have boobs. I've never gotten Botox. And personal preference, and I don't care if you get Botox, but I want to age naturally. And I think watching Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, seeing the girls with all the Botox cry, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I want my face to move when I cry. I can't." Because I thought about it. I've honestly been at the age because I'm 27. I'm like, maybe should I start? But personally, I want to age naturally. I want to, when I'm an old lady, obviously I don't want to look like an old lady. I want to look like a youthful, beautiful, glowing gal for as long as I can. But just preference. I don't really think I want to do Botox. I might have a change of heart, but if you want to do something, you live one life, do it, but always realize that if you're putting something in your body, you can't take it out. So just take that with a grain of salt because when you start doing pretty permanent altering things to yourself, realize your inner beauty or your true beauty before you start kind of poking at things. Because, like I said, you never want to do something that you can't reverse and then you realize your true natural beauty after the fact. But like I said, I got a little bit of lip filler. If I probably would have gotten another syringe, I would have been like, Elex, enough. But I told myself enough was enough. I like how it is. It looks fine. It doesn't look unnatural. So that's where we're at. But if you want big old lips, you get you big old lips, girl. The point is this is your life. You do what makes you happy. And you don't need to compare yourself to anybody. Because you don't realize how powerful you are as the individual you are. If you were like everybody else, you wouldn't be as badass as you are. And that's what separates you. We don't wanna be like other people. We don't wanna be like other women. Do we wanna look up to them and have them inspire us to be able to chase after our goals and dreams that might be similar to theirs? Heck yeah. You can learn a lot from women in that perspective. But just because you don't have the life that Sharkeisha lives, that does not mean you're a failure. That doesn't mean that you're not thriving in life. That doesn't mean you're not doing well. And your brain is gonna tell you, "Hey, you suck. You're not doing as well this week as you were last week." It's normal. And start telling yourself that when you're starting to feel low, just be like, you know what? This is a phase. We're going to get back to our party in our head, the dopamine bumping. Like, we will get back there. But you have to go through the low estrogen levels to the high estrogen levels because the highs are not going to be as good if you don't experience the lows. Now, just honestly talking about more just women, things we deal with too that can make, I don't know, being a woman kind of hard. And I'm not trying to commiserate in negativity, but there's a lot of power in knowing that you're not the only one who thinks the way you do. So, we talked about safety, about going out in public, about being a woman, constantly kind of looking over your shoulder, making sure you're safe. You wonder why me and my sister's favorite place is Disney World? I can skip around that place with a Mickey pretzel in my hand and not give a brown about what's going on. Obviously, I do still have to be alert, but it's not as extreme. And it's hard being an independent woman because I do want to travel. There are things that my family can't always go. My poor sister, she gets drug along to a lot of it, but she has a boyfriend now. She also has some health issues going on. And I have no problem doing things on my own. I thrive in my independence, but I'm scared. I'm scared to do things alone. I'm scared of my safety. I'm scared of what other people are thinking and what their motives are. And that's hard with being a woman. But I've realized, like I mentioned, I'm not going to let that make me a hermit. I'm not going to allow that to make me afraid of the world and everything going on in it. And you can't either. Just take safety precautions. Use your brain. Do not put yourself in a situation where you think it could end badly. And I know there's things that are not in your control. And you can't control not having a bad feeling about a situation and it going bad, but you can control having a gut feeling that is telling you no and you listen to that. I was walking my dog the other day, literally just kind of around the I don't live in a neighborhood, there's like streets around me. And we were on our walk and I turned the corner and the way we normally go, I don't know what this guy's deal was, but I think he was on drugs. I don't know. Just I knew me as my solo self with my little puppy. We're not gonna walk by him and see what happens. I don't want to deal with that. So I took a different way. That's what you have to always just kind of be thinking. And always be aware of your surroundings. Please, 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 please. It could save your life. But also, too, love being independent. I love having a full schedule. And I think a lot of us women can relate to becoming very overstimulated when you have a full schedule. That's the next thing I want to hit on. Overstimulation is something that I have dealt with my whole life. And now that I've recognized it, it has helped by mental health, especially because little things like shopping. I went to the World Market here in Kansas City the other day, and it's really cool because I'm Mediterranean. So all of the Mediterranean food that I can never find in stores was there. But I went on a Saturday and there were so many people there and nobody was aware of the surroundings. I was in there for 15 minutes and finally I just felt overstimulated. I'm like, "Okay, you know what? I had other things I wanted to look at. I'm starting to kind of lose patience, lose my cool. Because that's the thing is I can kinda sense my temper starting to heighten, and that's when I'm like, "Okay, we're gonna leave. We can come back any other day, but we've gotten what we want to right now." And I like that I am figuring this out before I have children because I can't imagine adding kids to that mix. All the mothers out there listening to this, I am inspired by you. Because you know what? Overstimulation, you have probably dealt with that so much. You've probably been like, you know what, I'm overstimulated. There's nothing I can do in this moment. We just got to sit in it. But I will say it is really good to be able to recognize when you're overstimulated and to be able to de escalate. You might be at home, like I'll be with my parents or my family, and we're talking about something and we start to talk about something we disagree on. I will literally be like, you know what? I'm going to walk away for 5 minutes. I just need to take a break. We'll come back to this conversation later because I will get so overstimulated by so many, because the four of us, we interrupt each other. We'll just, yeah, 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 yeah. That can be a lot. So when that happens, I literally will be like, I need a minute. I'm not going to leave the house. I'm not going to run away. I'm like, okay, we need to table this and everybody needs to cool down because I'm about to just have an anxiety attack and lose my mind. It's not bad to be able to pump the brakes and to know you have to pump the brakes and to actually pump the brakes when you are overstimulated. Because as I mentioned, that's, when I lash out, when I'm overstimulated, I say things I don't mean. I am very irrational. It's just not my best self. And as women, I think a lot of us can get overstimulated very easily. Like I said, whether you have kids, whether you get overstimulated at work, you're on vacation, you're with family. I mean, shopping. Like I said, who thought I would get so overstimulated shopping? You just have to listen to your body. And there might be some situations where you can't just completely like abort mission. But if you can do something to be able to de escalate yourself or to be able to just calm yourself down, recognize that and do something about it. Because that is also important for you to be able to show the people in your life. Because I think a lot of us being able to take a step back when we're very heightened can save us from a lot of negative situations, just bad things happening. I mean, a lot of positivity can come from that. So, my token of advice when it comes to overstimulation. And the other thing is just life in general, being a woman. So, like I said, I've mentioned this so many times. Everybody knows I'm a single gal. I'm on the market. If anybody knows any godly men, I'm looking for a husband. As women, it's very easy for us to compare ourselves to where we're at in life compared to other people. And as the eldest daughter in my family, I have my younger cousin getting married this September. My sister, I'll make sure she doesn't listen to this, but she is going to be getting engaged soon. It's hard because I'm older than these folks, and it's like, how am I not there? Why am I not there? I want a husband. I want babies. I want those things I've been dreaming about. I'm very hard on myself because, especially in the day and age of social media, I don't just see that happening within my family, but, with friends of mine, with people that I grew up with, especially since women have like that ticking baby clock. It makes you a little more concerned or on edge, or just when is my person coming? And me being very just in tune with my faith, I have to keep telling myself, like, God's plan. This is all in God's plan. Keep just following him. It's going to be okay. I keep reminding myself that because that's where like the comparison is very easy to be able to come forward, because I compare where I'm at in life to other people and other women. And then it's like, okay, well, she's having babies now. Well, if I don't have babies soon, I'm going to be an old mom, or who says I'm even going to be able to be a mom by the time I want to have kids? It can be very scary. And I want to say in the month of May, we are going to bring on Megan Keys to do an infertility episode, but you have to take everything one day at a time and you have to have grace for yourself. Mental Mixology, we talk about taking your mental health a day at a time. Everything you are trying to achieve, all of your goals, take it a day at a time. The things you want out of life. Because if you try to obtain all of it in just a week, a day, it's unrealistic or it's not going to last. And I've looked at this too, especially if anybody's single out there. You know, maybe God, and this is something I heard, which I thought was incredible. Maybe God just wants this time for me and Him. He wants me to be alone right now. He wants me to be able to reflect and to focus on myself and to work on all of the goals I've been just charging after the past couple years. Because once I have kids, there's no going back. I have that life then. And that's, moms listening. You have kids now, but they're going to grow up at some point. So you want to embrace that time in your life because then at one point you're going to look back and wish that you had probably just embraced it more. Because there might be things you want to do if you're a mom and you're like, well, I'm taking care of my kids, so I want to do this, but I can't. Don't lose sight of it. Or maybe you can start working on it at a very macro level now that come time when you actually can fully pursue what you want to, you're leaps and bounds ahead of where you thought you would be because you've started just kind of picking away at it slowly in the small little periods of time that you have. You're perfecting your skill, you're working on it, you're doing something. Just because you feel like you are stuck in a position that you're in now, or you can't change where you're at, or you feel like you want to be somewhere, but you're here. Day by day, you can work to become the person you want to be. You can work towards the goals you want to achieve. Rome wasn't built in one day. So keep that in mind when we're playing the comparison game, when the baby conversation starts to freak you out. A day at a time. I'm not going to find a husband overnight. It's going to happen. It might not happen. I might realize that being the cool single auntie my whole life is what makes me happiest. I don't know. None of us know. That's the fun part of life. You spin the bottle and you're like, oh, okay, this is where it's landing. And you work with it. All right, we are going to talk about the science backed tools that can help you, my ladies, with your mental health on a daily basis. So, first, we're going to talk about the power of moving your body, the power of just simply dancing. Okay. So, since women store trauma and stress in their hips, and the chest, thanks to cortisol patterns, you can do a 3-minute dance party that will drive up and boost your dopamine levels. I kid you not. If I need to have a good day, and I'll do this in the morning when I'm starting my day and I'm getting ready to put on my makeup or wash my face, I'll turn on a good song and I'll have a little dance party for 3 minutes, moving my body. You can close your bathroom door, put some music on your phone, put some music in the headphones, blare the music if you can, move your body, dance. It will put you in a better headspace. It'll help you. Literally, this is science backed. You're literally shaking the stress out of your muscles. Loosen it. Just get your body going. Movement is one of the best things you can do for your body. Get up and move every day. Something. If that 3-minute dance is the only movement you do, make it the best 3-minute dance you've ever done. But I kid you not, 3 minutes. Turn on music, just move your body. You don't have to be doing cartwheels and rolling on the floor. Just dance. Move your body. Groove with it. And like I said, if you have a really good song that you love and you know all the words, that's the best avenue. Have a playlist. I have a playlist of all my favorite songs or positive songs. So dancing, listening to good music, getting the vibes very good, that is scientifically proven to help boost your dopamine levels. Now we're going to go to the no guilt gaps, okay? Science shows that micro rest, even for 60 seconds of deep breathing, can lower a woman's heart rate more effectively than one long nap at the end of the week. Take a minute. There is so much power in taking a minute. I'll tell my sister that. We'll be at work or we'll be with our family and I can see her trying to explain something and she's getting really worked up and my sister gets these like hives or like this rash when she gets very worked up or I could tell she's upset. And every time I start to see the rash come up, I'm like, breathe. Like, take a second and breathe. Stop talking, walk away, breathe. So there's a lot of power in 60 seconds of deep breathing. Now we're going to talk about an oxytocin overload. So simple ways to boost your cuddle chemical is hugging a friend for 20 seconds, playing with a pet, or even just holding a warm cup of tea. So really just this is reverting to something warm and cozy to you. Maybe get a book, get a nice cozy blanket, sit on the couch and read. The cup of tea, hugging a friend. My favorite out of this mix is the animal. My dog Stevie, She really helps with the oxytocin overload. Let's just say that because oxytocin is good, it is important, and that is what is going to boost your feel good chemicals. Another thing, too, that I also want to hit on is venting and talking to other people. My favorite thing about being a woman, and this is something that I thought was funny on Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, they were talking about how dad talk, which dad talk, I think we can all agree, dad talk is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. But the moms were basically saying how men shouldn't gossip or talk crap. And I love how women will get with our friends and it's like, ooh, like, what are we gonna? That's my favorite thing with my best friend. Me and her just get together and we're like, ooh, what we can talk about now. We don't even have to talk. It just rapid fire. When we see each other, it just comes out. But venting to your friends will help boost your dopamine. Science backed as well. That's why when you keep things pent up or built up within you, it's terrible for you. Genuinely. And it's good for your mental health to be able to vent and talk to somebody about that. And I learned the hard way. I was in a toxic relationship for 5 years and I never told anybody about anything that went on ever. And finally, one night, me and my best friend were kicking it. And I'm not kidding, we came together to watch the Hannah Montana special. We had that playing in the background. We were just talking the whole time. We didn't even watch a lick of it, which I will say it was a little disappointing. Was not what we thought it was going to be, but we need that as women. We thrive off that. Truly. Having someone to confide in, to talk to be able to be like, girl, you will never guess what is going on. That is just good, positive chemicals being released in your brain. I'm telling you, it is just, it's a good thing. And I steered away from it because I always told myself, like, one, I have major trust issues with people. I have had prior friends that were girls of mine. Granted, this was back in like college, but I've gotten stabbed in the back a decent amount. I've gone to the point where my circle now is very tight knit. And I love and trust all my friends tremendously. So that has given me so much peace of mind. But it's been something I've had to work up to. And I'm blessed. God blessed me with a little sister. When I say having a little sister is my go to, I just who I can talk to about anything. Truly crave connection as people. We need it to survive. We need it to be happy. You can't isolate yourself. You can't keep all of your issues and problems and what's going on to yourself. Find somebody to confide in. Find somebody that you can just get a nice cup of tea or get some coffee and or I don't even care, a dirty soda and just sit and chat and talk about life, to be real with, to vent to. Because honestly, too, that gives you a sounding board. As women, I think it's really important to have sounding boards on things that we're going through to give you perspective. Well, that is pretty much all I have for you, ladies. I want you to know that no matter where you're at in life, no matter what you have going, no matter what your title is, your career title is, how much money you have in the bank, how many friends you have, how many followers you have, or likes you have on social media, you're amazing. You deal with your menstrual cycle, you deal with, having boobs that ache sometimes, you deal with constantly having people look at your body and compare you. Or, tell you if you're pretty or not by the society standards. You have, I don't even, women, we have babies. We're honestly the operations managers of household. We're amazing human beings, and we were created in God's image. He knew what he was doing when he made women. So give yourself some grace. Show yourself the little wins. Organize your calendar. Start scheduling time for self-care and for things that you can do that bring you happiness or let you decompress. You deserve it, and you can't keep being the best version of you if you're depleted and you're not taking care of yourself. And it's terrible when people realize when it's too late, when they're burnt out and they're so far gone. Don't allow yourself to get burnt out. You deserve to be able to find the balance. And there are going to be days where you're like, why am I not doing the things I should be? Why am I not achieving as much as I did last week? Or I'm not as productive as I was last week. Well, where you at with the cycle, girl? That could be affecting it. Like I said, estrogen levels, that's a main pull in it. I don't know if you knew that before coming into this episode, but now you do. So, like I always wrap this up, if you or anybody you know is in a mental health crisis, please call or text the number 988. If you go to mentalmixology.org, we have a national mental health resource tab, and we also now have one for Missouri, just because that is where we are located. So if you are ever needing resources, go to mentalmixology.org. There are two really amazing tabs that have really great information in there. Be kind to yourselves, be kind to one another, and we will be back with more episodes soon.